Hello, everyone. A couple of years ago, I called um, when Hayek, Charles Hayek, came to the social media scene and made all this brouhaha about him being a historian and sort of being a revisionist historian, sort of revising the history of Lebanon, Lebanon's myths of origins, and all of that. I called him a hack back then, mainly because he was being presented as a historian, or at least the people who were presenting him were calling him a historian, um, and and he's not. And this morning he reemerged. There was a post on Twitter that sort of featured him again, uttering the same kinds of follies that he's been uttering for the past couple of years. And way back when I called him a hack, I had time to watch Reel to Reel, his podcast with Jad Hussein, and I admitted back then, and I still admit that it was 2 hours well spent. But it was 2 hours that did not change my initial impression of Hayek, whom I still find to be a charmer, a great storyteller, a charismatic conversationalist. I can see why his captive audiences are captivated by what he has to say, which admittedly comes from a rich reservoir of knowledge. He's clearly very well read. He's must be a great history teacher, or was a great history teacher. I don't know whether he's still teaching. He has a good handle on the stuff of his school syllabus. Point of attraction. What attracted me to him initially was that he taught at Antura, Saint Joseph Antura, which was also my alma mater. And Monsieur Rouhana, who taught him history, was also my history teacher some 40, 42, 40, 43 years ago, 45 years ago, I would say. And I suspect that, like his mentor, Hayek is a great history teacher and arguably a gift to his profession as an educator, but he's not a historian. Uh, a charming doctrinaire is what he is. He may be justified to be despising Lebanon's Phoenician narrative, and maybe more so justified attempting to deconstruct Lebanon's Phoenician story, if you will, but doing so ostensibly in the name of method and an impartial quest for truth, and him bringing his altruistic historical contributions to the story. These claims are laughable. Hayek's method is patently political. His aversion to Lebanon's founding myths ooze of ideology, not pedagogy. There are many sets of issues that one can raise relative to his method. Um, he is, I must admit, that he is within his rights, questioning received wisdoms and claims about presumed historical continuity from the Phoenicians to modern times. I don't believe there is historical continuity between the Phoenicians of 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, and today's Lebanese. Um, but this is a false premise, right? No Lebanese would claim such continuity from the Phoenicians to the modern Lebanese. Now, valorizing the Phoenicians and claiming descent from them are valid. They're not unjustified. even if there's no continuity or direct blood descent. Some argue that there is direct blood descent, but even if there was no blood descent or no blood descent can be determined, the claim of filiation from the ancient Phoenicians to modern day Lebanese uh, is valid. I would argue that few Frenchmen today can claim blood ties to the ancient Gauls. Yet fewer would deny that they are descendants of the Gallo-Roman civilization. Um, Former French, I think he was a prime minister, Manuel Valls, published a book in 2018, 2019, I think. He titled the book Pas une goutte de sang français, mais la France coule dans mes veines, dans mes veines. In other words, I have, that's the title of the book. I have not a single drop of French blood, yet France courses in my veins. Yet Manuel Valls is of Spanish ancestry. Before serving as French, I think he was a prime minister. He served as Barcelona's city councillor. Um, think uh, think about that for a moment. So we're not talking about blood ties here. We're talking about memory. We're talking about the way you choose to define yourself. And if these are your founding myths, that the modern Lebanese are descendants of the ancient Phoenicians, those are the founding myths of a people, and you ought to accept them. Um, that aside, I think there's a serious methodological flaw in Hayek's claim, and that comes from the fact that he is a voracious reader of history, but that he's not a historian. Um, he presents what he reads as facts grounded in historical method. Now, here's the problem. Besides Arabic, and arguably a smattering of English and French, I doubt that Hayek reads Syriac, Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, Latin. Certainly, he does not read Ottoman Turkish. That I know for a fact. And those languages, including Ottoman Turkish, but also Syriac and Hebrew, and Aramaic and Greek and Latin, those languages are crucial to any historian working on Lebanon. Without a mastery of those languages, not necessarily speaking them, but being able to read them for for meaning between lines. Um, uh, Without the ability to work with these languages, um, we remain um, in in the context of peddling opinion packaged as history. A historian, after all, is someone who does historical research using historical methods, mining primary sources and material evidence, working with literature, with philology, with archaeology, with geology, with cultural effects, doing them in the original languages. A historian is someone who gathers this information um, 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 in a coherent, writes it, describes it, comments on it in a coherent, cohesive way, and has this information peer reviewed and eventually, hopefully, published on the recommendation of peer reviewers. Anything less than that is banter and gossip. And some historians live and breathe the archives of material culture. They present arguments at professional meetings. They publish their finds in refereed journals. Um, they can be criticized. They can be part of a historical consensus or not. But these are the sort of the les étapes, the stages you go to earn that insignificant title historian. So, in order to do that, you have to have had the appropriate training and formation, bring in a world of references and knowledge into your craft. This usually means writing an original doctoral dissertation, contributing to or challenging available scholarship, defending your dissertation before committees of examiners, and earning a degree validating someone as a historian rather than a purveyor of opinion. Absent that, anyone with an opinion um, can claim to be a historian. Let me stop here. That's my piece for this Sunday morning. Ciao.